Alright, here we are. Let's do this because I don't feel so great. Anyways, we're at Coda for this track guide. Sorry it's late. A lot of work in this one. Big track guide. So with that said, let's not waste as much time as we can. And let's get to the keys to the race card. So 1 tires, to a degree. Like I said, you don't want to overdrive them, but you can push them to the limit lap after lap. As usual on these road courses. At least in this series. Now the second one, I swear they're 3D curves. I'm not sure. Are they? Someone can correct me on that. But they certainly feel that way because you can tell it affects the handling of the car when you hit one. Like right here, it kind of pushes a little bit when you hit it. So keep in mind. And there's also those really big yellow curves that were in the S's that can launch you. If you saw the thumbnail. And like with any other road course, braking and shifting gears is a big part of the thing. And you'll see something a little bit different from me, as in like heel toe stuff, because, you know, Shane. So I think that's pretty much it. Typical, NASCAR road course. So we're gonna go ahead and, get to pit road, then we'll talk about the lap. Alright, making our way to pit road. On the second gear, you want to brake pretty much right around here, down to first gear, all the way down to 50 miles per hour, which is actually pretty fast. You can speed up a little bit there and then slow down before the yellow cone. Let's speed this up because, there's your pit exit speed, or pit speed exit cone, and your merge cone is right between these white lines, and there we go. So that's it. Alright, let's get to the lap. Alright, so as usual, fix it up, fix weather, which gave me air temp of like 81, I believe, and 99 when the lap was completed. It cooled down 1 degree after that, but still, only changes I made. Alright, unlike the last week at Bristol, I'm not going to go and do multiple laps because it would take me an eternity. So let's just say I can tell you I got to do like 13.8 in 122 track temp. Just gonna have to take my word for it. So the only changes I made were, well, everything, the steering pinion ratio, whatever, 315, the fastest possible one out there. And the rear master cylinder, I matched with the front, and brake bias was a 46.9. And that was pretty much it. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and see the lap, and then we will break it down because, well, it's a long one. All right, there you have it for a 213.39, which is more or less accurate. I did mess up a couple of corners, and you'll see which ones when we get to it. So it all starts with a nice good launch out of the final corner. You know, I'm gonna be nice and quick. When your gear's in here, I'm just dumping the clutch. With each one, you can see that little yellow thing on the gear selection. So anyways, right about here, I'm looking at 3 places. There's that screen on the left, which is my main indicator. Once it's out of view, I'm going to get on the brakes really hard, like 3/4, of the pedal. And then we're going to downshift. We're going to downshift again, all the way down to first gear. And here's another thing I'm looking at. See this little line right here? I'm using that to tell me when to turn in. And I might have turned in a little bit too early, but that's when I'm doing things. So we're down to first gear. Then we'll trail brake all the way to the center of the corner, or when you feel like it's going to rotate. And right when we tap that little apex, we are on the throttle, just ever so slightly in first gear. Don't want to spin the tires too much. So kind of got to wrestle it a little bit. We're going to shift to second relatively quickly, and then short shift to third. Why? I don't know why I'm doing that, but I did. It's just the way I drove it. So you want to get just your right side wheels to the right of this curbing. If possible, any more, it's a 1X. Any less, and you might give up time. And we're going to be focusing our attention to that green banner there. You can see I'm in third gear really hard on the throttle. And once I get it centered, like you see here, with that banner, I'm going to start turning in. And then as we're approaching that banner, we're going to get on the brakes slightly, lift a little bit, then get on the brakes, which is what we're doing here. Be really careful not to hit those big old giant yellow curbs. I hit one here, and I downshift while making that right-hand turn. And I turned in too much, and you can see me catch some air. And the same thing, you want to mute the throttle and brake, modulate it over and over, till you get the right speed through this corner. Now this right-hander, you can clip just a tiny bit right side wheels in that really dark red, it's like burgundy color. We're going to double apex it, so I throttle up and lift a little bit, it turns back down. Get your right side tires right alongside this thing, and there's another little moment here that I'm looking out for. It's to the right as we're looking at the curbing. Right about here, I'm going to start turning to the left while getting on the brakes. No downshifting. I'm just going to let it roll a little bit right when I get to the apex. We're going to throttle up really hard once you feel it grab. And then the minute you're full throttle, you're pretty much going to be braking again. Right about here, or in this little section. And again, this is where I feel the curbs are preventing me from turning the way I want to. I kind of want my rights right in that red area, but I couldn't quite get there. And all this sets you up for the next corner. It's like a game of pool. So right here, once I'm straight, I'm turning left again. Lift just ever so slightly. Get really close to that burgundy strip. Get on the gas again. You want to roll back to it because it can spin in this little section. Now here's one of the hardest parts because you can't see it from in the car, which is why I have the chase cam there too. And this one's really hard to hit, but you want to shift a little bit, and you really got to be careful through here. It can jump sideways, which is what it did. I may have overcorrected just a smidge, and I'm not going to lie, this did give me a 1X, which is bullshit, by the way, but it did give me a 1X, so stay to the left of it. It only cost me a tiny bit of time. Then we're focusing again here under the shadow. That's where I'm braking. That can change, so don't use that as an absolute, method of braking. I would brake just before you approach that little banner. So all the way down to first gear, and if you didn't notice, I was way more to the right this time. I did miss the corner a tiny bit, but that's fine. I kind of wanted to do that a little different than turn one, just to set up the exit more efficiently because it's a long straight. And you'll see it. That's the only part. I did in slow-mo. So here we go. You're going to go all the way up to fifth gear. And you see a little yellow thing there. That's the clutch. I'm just dumping it. That's something I've been doing in camo lately. Alright, so now we're going to be looking at another 2 spots. At least for me, I'm looking at this little light fixture on the right. I know I didn't pause it. I should have. there was a little orange thingy on the left as well, which you couldn't really see. I'm sorry about that, but I don't have time to go back and look at it. Anyways, just like the previous corner, downshift all the way to first gear and kind of keep it to the right. We're going to turn in while trail braking. And again, same thing. Once you touch the center of the corner, use some throttle to get the car to rotate. Slowly get back to the throttle where you'll get wheel spin like I did here. And here comes probably the most complicated section on the track for me. So I'm going to hit the limiter really hard for at least a second or two, and then we're hard on the brakes. So again, keeping it in first. You can shift, but I don't. Once I'm right alongside the curbing, I turn in, get right to this yellow one, but you want to throttle up from here to get it to kind of, you don't want to keep it too pinched, but you don't want to open it up too much. And now you're going to use probably the most amount of throttle through here just to keep gradually picking it up to use up all the track to the left. Again, you can shift, which I do here. Once I hit that part of the curb, I'm going to shift second. And immediately, once I'm past the curbing here, I'm going to get right back down on the brakes, right back down to first gear. Let it widen out just a little bit here, and then turn in because you want to hit the apex of this very tight corner, which I do miss again, but gave me a nice, decent launch. Careful again on the throttle, or where the car wants to spin. It's a lot more slidey this year for some reason. So we throttle up, get to the left, shift a second, and I did go to third there. I didn't want to, but you see what I'm doing. Modulate the gas like you would in the S's. Get really close to this inside curb, trying to get your right side wheels to the right. While still throttling up, you're going to hit the limiter for what seems like forever. And once we're alongside you, this curb, we're on the brakes really hard, and you want to use a little bit of this green, not too much, to get the car to rotate, or else it just simply won't, and you'll miss this center of the corner. And again, here's where I got another 1X on the late exit, which is another BS one if you ask me, but I got it. Don't worry about it. I just wasn't going to redo the lap. You can see we're really hard on the gas. And here, when I'm in this little banner and you see the curbing there, I'm going to get hard on the brakes as I'm passing under it. Down to first gear, and you see the line we went over, that's my turn-in point. Just slowly turn in so you hit this at a more reasonable angle. Again, I'm letting it roll. Once I touch the apex, I throttle up slowly. And you want to maximize all of this. No wheel spin. Try not to get no wheel spin. And power out. Shift a second. And that's going to be your lap. Alright, so that's it for this track guide. I know it was a long one. And I did miss a couple of moments there that I wanted to talk about, but again, I'm already running late. And yeah, I got some other stuff to do. Sebring 12 hours. And so forth. And yeah, anyways, sim recent Treeside.